So you've got a limited company for your property investments. That's great, so you can take advantage of the tax efficiencies like using your mortgage interest as a full deduction. However, generally, accounting fees can wipe away some of those tax efficiencies, but not anymore with Taxed. Hey, I'm Arch, one of the founders of Taxed, and we're a digital tax filing software making it super easy for landlords who own property in their personal name or through a limited company to file with HMRC and Companies House. We are recognised by HMRC and suppliers to the NRLA, and proud to introduce the first software that supports buy-to-let investors who use a limited company simplify their company accounts and corporate tax filings. In this video, I'll be walking you through everything that you need to know about filing your company accounts and your corporate tax return, including a practical demo. And stick around till the end for an exclusive discount. Right, so let's get into the basics. What are the differences between your company accounts and your personal tax return? To start with, it's important to understand that your limited company is a separate entity to you. So its filings, its compliance must all be done separately to your personal tax and compliance. Many of you might be familiar with filing your personal taxes, but filing for a company is very different. Now, if you're already familiar with company accounts, you can skip ahead to the practical demo. But here's a quick breakdown of everything that you need to know. You file your company accounts with Companies House, and these include your balance sheet, which includes assets like the properties you own, or liabilities like mortgages, and a profit and loss report showing your income and expenses. Now, at April 2025, the profit and loss is not visible to the public, only the balance sheet. However, there are plans to change that. And the second thing that we need to file is a corporation tax return, or CT600, to HMRC. And this will include the accounts. We also need to send this to HMRC, as well as a breakdown of the taxable profits and the corporation tax owed. And this is why it's important to file your corporation tax return and your accounts at the same time, because they do need to match up. Now, you may already know this, but here are the few important deadlines for your company. Now, your accounting period is typically 12 months from your incorporation date until the end of that month. So for example, if I incorporate a company on the 15th of April, I've got until the 30th of April the following year. That's my accounting period. I then need to file my accounts and my corporation tax 9 months after my accounting year ends. And everyone's company is going to be different because it's based on the incorporation date unless you change it manually. But remember, it's different from the personal tax year that runs from April to April. In any case, if you have any doubts, check Companies House, as this will tell you your accounting period and your filing deadline. And don't forget to file your confirmation statement with Companies House. This is generally 1 year after incorporation. You're just confirming your shareholders, directors, addresses, etc. to make sure that the records are up to date. And finally, a few tax tips for buy-to-let limited companies. Firstly, remember to use up your dividend allowance annually, and then you can use your director loan after that. Now, remember your director loan is always after corporation tax. Now, as a third point, remember that you can also pay your family members or partners, etc. for work that they might be doing in the business, for example, admin, some bookkeeping, etc. And finally, remember that you can also make pension contributions from your limited company. And this is a very tax efficient way to withdraw money from the company. Obviously, it's locked until you hit pension age, but there's no corporation tax and there's no income tax until you withdraw it at a later date. Lovely, so before we jump into the practical demo of filing the accounts and the corporation tax, what do you actually need to file? You'll need your completion statements for any properties that you've purchased within the accounting period. You'll need your rental income and expense breakdowns. We'll also need to know the outstanding mortgage amount at the accounting year end, as well as the company bank balance at the accounting year end too. We'll then need to know about any admin or operating expenses, things like accounting fees, etc. And finally, we need to also know about any expenses that you may have incurred personally that you may not have reimbursed yourself for, or that may not be on your income, expense, or bank statement breakdown. Now, this can also include mileage if you're driving your personal car to visit a property, for example. Okay, now that you've got everything you need, let's jump into the practical demo. I'm going to be filing my accounts as if I have a limited company and I've purchased one property in the previous accounting period. I've got a mortgage on the property, and I've got some income and expenses that I need to report. Let's jump into that. To get started, just click Start for free at taxed.co.uk. I then see some introductory questions, and this helps me build my personalized experience. I'll select that I'm filing for a company, and specifically a buy-to-let. I then need to input my company number from Companies House, and tax will automatically pull details about the company. I can then sign up to tax with my email and a password, and at this point all of my progress is saved, so I can come back to it at any point. And now that we're on the main assessment, we start off with some company information. We just need to confirm the details that we've pulled from Companies House. This part isn't too technical, so we should be able to breeze through it. Now let's jump into the main part of the company accounts, the buy-to-let category. Here we can add one or multiple properties depending on how many properties the company owns. In this case, I'll just add one. So I can click Add New and give the property a name. Now, because I've purchased this property within the year, I need to input details around the purchase price and whether I have a mortgage on the property. I can then add details from my completion statement. Now note here that any expenses that relate to the completion statement, so the purchase of the property, are capitalized. So these go onto the balance sheet as an asset. Now it's important here that I only include things like stamp duty or legal fees associated with the purchase. I don't want to include things like service charges or ground rent apportionments or purchase price or deposit if these are on your completion statement. No need to include that. Check the help text if you do have any questions. It's also important that any spend that relates to renovations or improvements to the property are categorized accordingly. Again, these are added onto your balance sheet, onto the overall value of the property, and not used as an expense in the year on your profit and loss. And then we'll ask you details about your rental income. If you've got your bank statements or your spreadsheet where you track this to hand, this should be fairly easy to total up. And finally, we'll ask you about your expenses. In a similar vein, take a look at your spreadsheet and match them up with the categories on tax. And you can also take a look at the tax drop down to see if there's any expenses potentially that you may have missed. As a final step, we'll ask you about any travel to and from the property. If you're driving your personal vehicle, we can claim the mileage here. Now we're nearly done. We've just got the company admin category to complete. Here's where we'll ask you questions around any day-to-day expenses that you may have incurred for running the limited company. Things like company's house fees, accountancy fees, etc. Essentially, spend that may not necessarily relate to the property, but relate to the company. Similarly, we'll ask you about any expenses or transactions that you've incurred in your personal bank account or personal card that relate to the property limited company. We can still account for this within your accounts. We'll just ensure that it's reflected in your director loan. And then we just need to know your bank balance at the accounting year end. You can find this on your bank statements or through your banking app, etc. Now with this number, we'll be able to go back and actually calculate the director loan and how much is owed to you. We do this automatically. And the final question in this category is just around the nominal value of the shares. We will pull this from Companies House as well, but please do check to make sure that this matches up with what we've pulled from Companies House. And if you have any questions, just get in touch with our team and we'll be able to help out as well. Perfect, your accounts are ready, so we can jump into the finalizing category. You can see your balance sheet, you can see your P&L, and you can see your accounts, corporation tax, all ready to go. Now I just need to pay the tax fee to unlock my accounts and my tax return. I also get a complimentary review call with a chartered accountant, so I can ask any questions or make any adjustments to my accounts before they're submitted. Now at the payment stage as well, I can add on any extras or go with a subscription for next year that will also include my personal tax return or confirmation statements or advisory calls. So choose here which suits you best. Alternatively, you can choose the pay-as-you-go option, but there are benefits of being on one of the taxed premium plans. Perfect, that is payment completed, and now I'm ready to submit my tax return. You will obviously have a call with the chartered accountant to go through, but once that's been done and you're happy to submit, I just need to press submit to Companies House and HMRC, and then everything is instantly sent off to Companies House. Once that's approved, it gets sent to HMRC. There's nothing for me to print out, there's nothing for me to send. Everything is done online, and I just get an email confirming once everything has been completed. I hope this video helps in showcasing the entire end-to-end process as a buy-to-let limited company investor. But if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or one of our team, and we'll be happy to help. Thank you very much for watching. And don't forget your exclusive discount for sticking around till the end. It is landlord-video. Thank you.